Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. So welcome to episode 815. We'll be giving you some baseball updates. As we told you on Wednesday, games started today. So we'll have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday games instead of your traditional Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so folks can get out and get ready to travel for the SWAC baseball tournament next week. Have some updates here. Prairie View run ruled Mississippi Valley 11-1 in the 8th inning. Pine Bluff has scored another run. They doubled to right center. So it's 8-6 with 2 outs, 2-2 count in the top of the 9th. That game is on SWAC TV, just as the Prairie View game was on SWAC TV. Man, SWAC got it right today for everybody. You got FAMU hosting Texas Southern, a much enticing game here. And that game is in the bottom of the 7th with FAMU leading 4-2. It's a 2-1 game for much of the contest. FAMU was able to put up 2 runs, and then TSU just battled back in the top of the 7 and scored 1. So it's 4-2 there. We have a 6 o'clock game that's starting. Another big one, which is Grambling at Bethune-Cookman. And you also have Southern on the broadcast network with SWAC TV hosting Alabama A&M, and that's also at 6. So we're going to give you some updates, so stay right here. But again, welcome to episode 815. That is of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture as HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. He didn't grab another big bag. He didn't switch jobs, so somebody decided that they needed to pay him a little more coin, but I'm not trying to be in his pockets, or maybe I am. We're filming from my home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, and congratulations to Ralph Cooper and his daughter is after graduating from Howard. She went on to NYU. Charles, you know about that, as she decided to do sports studies over there, and she graduated with a master's. So a lot of shout outs. We talked about Mike, his son graduating, Charles's daughter graduating. So these folks are getting these degrees. So that is awesome to see. Congratulations to all the recent graduates, whether that is at the undergraduate level, graduate level, could be master's, and some with the doctorate getting that final spin. Big time, big time. But we want to say welcome to the beautiful home of Texas Southern University of Houston, Texas. Let's bring everybody on board, all that good news. After I ask everybody how they're doing, obviously we do have some sad news to bring on the table there, and we will get that out appropriate. All of us have discussed it in our form, rightfully so, having some type of connection in some form, whether just as a fan listening, some of us being able to get nuggets, others being able to work with him directly. And, you know, people talk about me in a positive light, you know, saying OG and Dean of all that. But really one of the legends out there was Charlie Neal. He has now become an ancestor, as we all got the news. Want to give a appropriate acknowledgement to HBCU Game Day in terms of what they did in terms of honoring Charlie Neal. Obviously, HBCU Go, what they were able to do in terms of recognizing him. I wanted to make sure we did our part. Charlie Neal, a pioneering HBCU broadcaster whose voice helped carry Black college sports into homes across America, has died following an illness. He spent the majority of his 80 years building a career defined by preparation, reverence, and historical purpose. Born on October 28, 1945, Neal became far more than a play-by-play announcer. He became one of the clearest voices explaining why HBCU sports mattered at a time when Black college football and basketball were often ignored by major television networks. Neal helped create a platform that treated those games with dignity and care. Their work changed the landscape. In 1980, Neal joined Black Entertainment Television, BET, for those that don't know, at its foundation and helped establish a national home for HBCU athletics. He served as a network lead, play-by-play announcer, and executive producer for sports, in a role he did not just call the action. He helped build the football schedule itself and shape how Black college sports were presented to the nation. For many fans, Charlie Neal was the sound on Saturday afternoons, rivalry weekends. He brought polish to broadcast, but he also brought context. He understood that HBCU sports were not just competition. They were living history tied to institutions, communities, band, coaches, and generations of pride. I just want to take a personal note as someone, as I said, that talks about the time that I've been in the game, and it's getting a little long in the tooth, but he was already doing his things. But he opened up, welcomed me in, so I got a chance to really learn a lot from him personally. But to be acknowledged as somebody that didn't necessarily take the natural course in terms of sports media, journalism is what they were calling in. He welcomed me in after he saw the diligence that I had and the care, and we fast became friends. So I got the chance not to only see him in work, but a little bit post-game when things were shut down or when HBCU game in Houston. Shout out to Curtis Simons that would invite me over to some of the things they were doing. And Charles got a chance to come over there with me as well as they were relaxing a little bit, and you got to see a whole other side of Charlie, which was always brilliant because he would tell you a lot of good impact and secrets to life. So rest in power, Charlie Neal, as he is now joining the ancestors. 80 Drew, any comment that you wanted to make?
Excuse me, part of my comments were made yesterday as we at Morehouse, after learning of the passing of Charlie Neal, we put out our own statement because and it was we had some stuff that was scheduled to go out yesterday and today. And I was talking with A.D. Ellis, and he had not heard the word at that point in time. And I was like, I don't want what we release to get caught up in the Charlie Neal information. And we were going back and forth with the text, and he called. He's like, "What happened to Charlie Neal?" Yeah, passed this afternoon, and I had found out earlier from Neal, formerly at Howard, who gave me a call and told me so, and that's what I put it in our group chat stuff. If you want to know my thoughts, my memories of Charlie Neal from my days coaching basketball at Tuskegee when they came to Chappie James to the more recent times, I put some of those thoughts into that article that I released. I am mad at you, Brian, because I was looking for pictures of Charlie Neal in my phone, and the only pictures that I could find pictures that I had with Charlie Neal.
Good stuff, 80 Drew. You're breaking up a little bit there, so we're gonna allow, since you talked about Brian and the pictures that you have that acknowledge him, we'll go to Brian for his
with him and Charlie Neal.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go to him to get his comments.
Brother Drew, you didn't send me those photos. I mean, I'm sitting here calling my pops, who was a photographer at many of Circle City Classics that Charlie Neal broadcasted at, trying to find some photos. Man, send me those photos, man. But I guess for me, the impact of Charlie Neal's voice and his presence came from the Circle City Classic, which I was there at the very first one in 1984, and practically at every one of them up until I left to go to Florida A&M in the fall of 92, right? And so him being a part of all of those events, you know, and I was there to see it live, but when I came home, I would watch the broadcast again to try to see what I saw, what I didn't see, but just to more importantly, hear his voice. And I think you said it quite poignantly, Doc, when you said there was a level of professionalism that he brought to Black college football games that those of us in the Midwest, we grew up with Keith Jackson and names that were synonymous with college football. But Charlie Neal brought such a grace class, first class, everything about him and the broadcast was so great that, I mean, the only thing you knew different from those games was that, oh, this is HBCUs. But it was broadcast with the same professionalism and quality that we were used to listening to on Saturday afternoons in the Midwest, you know? And so I grew up with that as him being one of the voices that I wanted to emulate and wanted to follow in the path of. And so I'll tell you, it was, you know, very, very few moments that you have as a grown man where you get kind of, I'm get kind of giddy. You're like, oh, one of your icons. The first SWAC media day, when I looked over, it was like, yo, that's Charlie Neal. I'm like, I was almost too nervous to want to go over and be like, hi, Mr. Neal. You know, my name is Bryan Fulford with Black College Sports Network. I want to let you know you're one of the voices I grew up listening to. I'm from Indianapolis. You know what I'm saying? I was, you know,
we get it.
And he was so cool to talk to and just talk about it. And then, you know, he would talk to you as if, you know, I'm like, I'm nobody. That's how I'm feeling. Compared to him, I'm like, I'm nobody. But he talked to you like you were important. That's and right. You were there as a part of this storytelling project that was going to be important for somebody that was at home watching and listening. And he made you feel valued. And I really appreciated that. And so that I just wanted to share that one part. And, you know, I shared with my father the news this morning. You know, he's not on social media and all that stuff. But, you know, I shared the news with him about Charlie's passing. And you know, it brings a lot of it home, you know. And so my prayers and thoughts, condolences to the Neal family, all of those who used to work with him and all who have and are. Thoughts and prayers and condolences to all of them.
Charles, final thoughts from you.
I think I can kind of echo a lot of what Bryan said. I think that when I met him, like I said, it was meeting somebody that was the soundtrack of your childhood, and it was awe-inspiring. But the funny thing was, I went up and just like Bryan, I went up and introduced himself. Mr. Neal, man, I'm Charles Bishop. You huge impact on me. I really appreciate everything that you've done. He's like, he deadpan. He's like, Charles, I know who you are. I've seen you on Dr. Good. I've seen you on the pregame show. I know who you are. So that, and my jaw just kind of dropped. You know, I was like, oh my God. But you know, just sitting around listening to him and all the fun games he got to call in Jackson. Talked about some of the spots him and Lim used to hit with another former Jackson State player, Roscoe Word, over there at Maximilians, and all the old Jackson people know that old club. That was, you know, back in the day. But it was just the professionalism, the knowing, the personnel. He wasn't just a broadcaster who would just repeatedly holler Peyton, Rice, Doug Williams. Like he knew HBCU football. He pronounced Alcorn. He's, and you watch broadcasts and they say Alcorn. It's like, but it's just the professionalism and just wanting to follow in that path of being a respected broadcaster, and for him to give me his number and to pick his brain, from time to time, especially with transitioning from radio to television and some of the insight that goes into that really meant a lot. And I almost get a little bit choked up just kind of being very appreciative that one of the icons that you grew up listening to, that he took the time, to make sure that you were prepared and make sure that you were prepared to tell the story. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, no, it's very appropriate. All of us deal with people's passing, and when people touch you in that manner, from, like you said, the soundtrack of your childhood growing up is one framework, and then getting a chance to talk with him, working and allow him to mentor you, and then being a colleague in the business, particularly covering HBCU sports. It is supposed to resonate, and it's supposed to be deep. So I wanted to acknowledge that. Before we leave off this first break, I think it's appropriate, obviously, to say, again, my deepest condolences are to Charlie Neal's family, his HBCU sports cultural family, his HBCU broadcast family, and our prayers for him and his family. May the memories held deep within your heart help soothe you. You're in my family and the HBCU Sports Lab's family's prayers, as well as the BCSN family's prayers. Let's take our first break, and we'll come back on the other side and give some updates.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Greetings, Santhus. My name is Roland Austin, and I'm one of the directors at the 1876 Athletic Foundation. The 1876 Athletic Foundation was formed to promote the success of all 343 student athletes. Our overall goal is to fund scholarships for all of our student athletes. We ask that you help us in achieving this goal by donating to the 1876 Athletic Foundation via the QR code below or 1876.foundation. Your generous donation will help us continue to assist the needs of all of our Panther athletes. Thanks, and go Panthers.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get right back in there before we bring up the mid-major poll rankings and discuss them. Well, we do have another final. This final is out of Jackson, Mississippi. Arkansas Pine Bluff goes into Jackson and puts up 2 runs in the top of the 9th to come out with the victory. Jackson State had 2 outs, but they did get a runner on first, meaning they brought the tying run to the plate. That was a base on balls. And then Pine Bluff was able to get the final out. So you have a final score of 8-6 with Pine Bluff over Jackson. With that being said, Jackson would need to take out the last 2 to get the tiebreak rule. They would end up tied with the records at the end of the season, but 2 out of 3 would give them the head-to-head tiebreaker. So it'll be fascinating to see what goes on tomorrow. I told you earlier that Valley did get the 10-run rule win in the 8th inning, winning 11-1 over Mississippi Valley. So now they're tied. So it'll be fascinating to see what goes on in the rest of that series in terms of both of those teams are out of the top 8, but are looking to finish the season strong with the series win. We'll see what that means on that side. We just have the start of the Bethune-Cookman and Grambling game, which will be fascinating. We'll kind of keep your eyes on what's going on there. And then we also have the Alabama A&M Southern game, which means we are also following FAMU. We are in the bottom of the 8th with FAMU leading Texas Southern 4-2 in the bottom of the 8th in that matchup. So again, we'll keep you updated there to see what's going on. But let's pull up the mid-major poll rankings for the men. Nobody dropped out this week in week number 9. But let's see who's receiving votes. You have the Benedict Tigers, 23-16, 19-4. Morehouse Maroon Tigers, we need to update that. That's 25, which is a record number of wins for Morehouse Maroon Tigers, 25-22, 17-14 in terms of that. Stillman Tigers, 24-18, 14-6. Let's look at the top 5 in terms of the matchups there. Savannah State drops in the poll rankings there, 27-20, 23-10. They dropped in the poll rankings. Oh, maybe that has the ranking there. So they actually remain in the 5th position with 32. So let me give an update there into that. Let's go at number 4, which is Albany State Golden Rams. They sit at 31-18, 27-6 with 40 points. They stay in that 4th spot this week. And number 3 is Houston Tillotson Rams, 33-18, 18-3, 44 and 3. This is before the NIA and NCAA games, so we'll get our final rankings based on what they did in the tournaments. We got those updates on Tuesday by Drew as we move forward with Edward Waters being number 2, 33-19, 24-9. Again, they did lose their game in the NCAA Division II tournament, as well as Houston Tillotson. Talladega was able to get a win, but they also had a loss as we got those updates the other day. So we will have updated records for our final poll, but in week number 9, this is what you see for the top 5. Drew, I know you might get a call to say, hey, line up. So let me let you go first in terms of the top 5.
Let's see. Edward Waters still has to play this weekend, so I'm gonna hold with this for right now. But let's see if Edward Waters picks up a victory in the Division II tournament. If Edward Waters picks up a victory in the D2 tournament, no reason they should not finish at number 1, with Talladega finishing number 2. I'm cool with the rest, but I think I'm pulling out my SIAC bias. I think Edward Waters should be number 1, but let's wait. Let's see how these games play out this weekend.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Charles, you smiled a little bit there, so I'll let you jump in the fray and give your thoughts in terms of poll rankings and while you smiling as well.
No, I think we talked about it a little bit the other day. I mean, when you talk about 30 some odd wins, Talladega, Edward Waters, Houston Tilson, all right there, no problem with that. But if Edward Waters gets in that D2 tournament and gets to win number 34, that strengthens their argument a little bit more. So no problems if Edward Waters gets to win and bumps Talladega.
Bryan, any thoughts from you in terms of the poll rankings? These gentlemen are looking at Edward Waters and wanting to see what they do in the tournament. Talladega does have a win on the books, but they believe Edward Waters can get a win for themselves.
Well, my bread is not buttered by the SIC, and but I still did have the Tigers ranked number 1 coming out of I guess before the tournament started. So for me, it's Edward Waters number 1, unless Talladega, which we know they didn't quite.
They're done.
Right, I know. I mean, they only won 1 game, but I mean, hey, 1 game is still good.
Yeah.
But I think Edward Waters should be if I had a vote, they would have been number 1 going in, and then there wouldn't have been too much they could do to lose that short of Talladega making it to the regional or to the next round. So that's all I got.
Man, y'all are tough. Y'all are tough. Since we're up to last week, week 10 will be the official last one. But give me a little bit of your thoughts in terms of the mid-major season. Charles, what was your overall thought in terms of the baseball played throughout the mid-majors between mostly the HBCU, AC, and the SIAC in terms of the NCAA Division II?
My surprise team was Morehouse. I did not, they weren't on my bingo card.
I told you.
They were not on my bingo card as far as range a lot of saying this past season, but to just finish, was receiving some votes there. That speaks a lot. And I think, Drew, we talked about that last week in terms of is it kind of the dawning of a new day, if you will, in Morehouse sports in terms of being sort of that school that can be like a Stanford or the academic school, but always does well from an athletics perspective. So Morehouse baseball, with all that talent that's in Georgia, especially around that Atlanta area, if they can tap into that a little bit, I look for bigger things from them.
Good stuff. AD, your overall thoughts of what you saw and watched throughout the season for the mid-major division?
Outside of Cap obvious with Morehouse, how about the non-conference wins by Savannah State over Tampa earlier this year? Albany State picking up the key non-conference win. And then, Albany State going to a barbecue. I mean, if you want to talk about the top storyline, I had no clue that was going to happen. But when I look at it, probably the 2 worst teams, styles make fights, the 2 worst teams that Albany State could have faced in the tournament were the 2 teams that they wound up having to play stylistically. So it is what it is. Great run by Edward Waters. Edward Waters was a team that I sneakily thought they could do it. Didn't think they would beat Spring Hill like they did, but it was what it was. That 1-0 game was a classic.
We'll go to our next break, but Bryan, I'll let you get your final thoughts in terms of the action you saw, records and the teams, and the fight for a regular season championship, tournament championship, and then those they got into their requisite playoffs. What was your overall thought of mid-major division this year, baseball?
I always think it's interesting trying to compare and how challenging it is to compare NAIA baseball versus HBC Division II. I find that always challenging, especially whether it be someone who's a voter in your poll or some of us. I'm a voter in the Black College Nines. So as we look at all of those, it's always challenging trying to compare. And so I just think the competition is always what I'm going to look at and try to find, challenging. And hopefully, with more access to watching these teams, we can all continue to grow in our knowledge a little bit. And, so that's really all I have. I don't have much outside of that. Just challenging as always, trying to compare one versus the other.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let me give you some updates here before we go to this last break. We are down to last out. Actually, we just got the last out I was speaking, so FAMU gets it done. As we were in the top of the ninth, Rallies win 4-2 over Texas Southern University. And I can give you an early start where Bethune-Cookman has gotten off to a hot start, I should say, as they had the bases loaded at a double, scored 2, and then they had a fly outfit sacrifice fly. So they lead all said and done 5-0 after 1 against Grambling. So they have gotten off to a huge start there. So wanted to give you an update there. And then you have Alabama A&M. It is the second inning and is 2-2, bottom of the second, but Southern is threatening as they have a runner on third with 1 out. With that being said, let's take our second break. We'll come back on the other side and talk about the major division and give you an update. AD, we have you with safe travels, and we'll have it done with Charles and Bryan. So thank you for joining us for the first half of the show, Drew. Give us some updates, particularly on the mid-major, where your expertise truly shines. We'll be right back after this next break. This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
I'm Cameron Peters, quarterback of the Prairie View A&M 2025-2026 SWAC Football Championship team.
Here on second and goal, Peters looking for some space, and he runs into the end zone. The first score of the game goes to the Panthers.
As the offensive MVP and champion, when I'm not busy studying or practicing or spending time with my family and friends, I catch up on my sports highlights by watching Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
Test the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I can give you an update from Alabama A&M and Southern. A swinging bunt, essentially, and it ended up being a sacrifice. The pitcher decides not to go home. I thought he might have had a shot, pretty good shot, but he does the proverbial play and throws the first, does get the out. It's the second out of the inning, but Southern gets the run. They get the final out. Alabama A&M does, the Bulldogs, but Southern does have the lead 1-0 early in that contest going to the top of the third. Bethune-Cookman is still leading 5-0 as we enter into the top of the second with Grambling coming up the bat. Bryan, as we said, talked about Edward Waters, lost 16-6. That's why I was surprised about y'all being so excited about Edward Waters. But, hey, it's y'all thoughts, not mine, but I'll let you have it. That being said, let's get into the major division as we get into this and give you those updates. And surely this will change. We do have some changes going into this week as the beautiful thing with so many teams in the SWAC and being so deep that mostly this is a SWAC update in terms of the top five. But it changes week to week, so we do get excitement in terms of what that looks like, including where the standings. But we do have a team that dropped out. It didn't drop out this week. But let's get into our receiving votes. Receiving votes as that comes up is Texas Southern Tigers 20-19, 15-9. UAPB Golden Lions 21-30, 15-12. Jackson State 24-24, 14-3. You see why they're fighting against each other to see what they can get done. And then you have old Norfolk State Spartans over there in the NEC. They should make it to the tournament. Top 8, I believe, go to the tournament up there in NEC. So they're fighting to close out with a winning season in terms of conference play. Right now, 15-15 as they close it out. So we'll see if they can get some stuff going in the tournament. Maybe surprise some folks at 19-28. They did get to 500 in terms of their regular season games on the 30 games they played. Let's get into the top five. In the top five, we have Grambling State Tigers as they are battling out with the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, trying to improve their seeding and close out the season on the right note. 20-28, 17-10, 66 points. They stay in the fifth spot. Now going into 4, we'll see a little bit of change. We have Alabama State that slid a spot down, previous ranked 3, but now in the 4th spot. They're 27-21. 17-10 as they battle it out. They're the long game that is not on SWAC TV, but they play Alcorn. We don't imagine there'll be any problems there, but we'll keep our eyes on that and see if we can give you some updates. Bringing us to number 3, Florida A&M Rattlers, 24-22. We can say now they do improve to 25-22 as they have a big matchup with Texas Southern, 19-8, the team that we showed just outside of the top 25. Obviously, they're fighting for seedings for sure. Outside shot at a number 1 seed, maybe not with the way Bethune-Cookman started things out, but you never know. That's why you play 9, right? And if you talk to Charles, sometimes he'll tell you we play 2. I love when he does that in terms of his broadcast. But no, good weather around, so we'll play a single each day leading into Saturday to culminate things. But we're getting a little indication of what things look like. At number 2, we have the Southern Jaguars. Just gave you an update there in terms of what they're doing. We'll keep that game on the update for you as they lead early in that contest 1-0. But they're in the second spot, 24-21, 17-7. They're hoping their rival, in-state rival, does a little work and has a comeback as they want a chance at a regular season championship. They got to do their part. They're starting off that right, but they need some help from Grambling to take down Bethune-Cookman, who's number 1, 35-17, 21-6, 90. They speak, Southern said, don't worry about that. They are going to take care of business if you ask the Wildcats. They're going for their second consecutive regular season championship, and then they'll see what they can do in the tournament next week. So I'll start with you, Charles. What are your thoughts on the top 5? Bethune-Cookman does have all 9 first place votes. You see it that clear in terms of the regular season and what they did overall?
I'm sitting here. I was trying to look and see. I was like, have Southern played this season?
Yeah, I think they did. Let me see if I can get that for you real quick.
FAMU has the tiebreaker. FAMU has the tiebreaker.
FAMU does have tiebreaker. Okay, so they must have seen each other early in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It was pretty early.
It was before the Southern Streak, before they got hot.
I was about to say, I was like, it's just very impressive just to watch the way Southern has shot into the rankings. And I mean, beyond Bethune-Cookman, it's hard to say who's playing better baseball right now, especially over these past 2-3 weeks in Southern, FAMU, and Alabama State. All of these teams are going to be right there in the SWAC tournament. It's going to be fun matchups. To me, it's still Bethune-Cookman, kind of leader in the clubhouse going into the tournament, obviously. But all 2, 3, and 4, and Grambling to an extent, they're all very intriguing as we get ready to get turn to the tournament next week. So I don't know. I'm really excited about some of the matchups, the potential matchups going into next week.
Yeah, that was the first game to open off SWAC play.
Okay.
And Southern traveled to Tallahassee, and Tallahassee took 2 of 3, with Southern winning the middle game, the second game, before falling in the last game 10-6. Give you a little indication before that. I do believe in Southern being hot. Unfortunately, that rain out really kind of sticks with me. That'd have been another solid matchup with Texas Southern. Southern, and it would have gave you a little more indication of just how good a ball Southern was playing, even if they got 2 out of 3 in that matchup. But it's going to be fascinating as we go down the stretch. And you're right, it's just something about the tournament in terms of that, particularly when you look at those brackets. Where do you fall in those brackets? Have some indication about oftentimes how deep in the tournament and whether a team can get hot. And then you get into the last couple of games, you're down on pitchers, and now it's about key hits, key players, how deep they are, and just how teams get the confidence. So you're right. It could get fascinating later. But Bryan, what are your thoughts on the top 5? You see the overall rankings, which in a lot of ways follows the top 5 to some degree in terms of the top 5 rankings. Where are you in terms of that thought?
Well, the good thing about the SWAC tournament is that it is 2 different tournaments, and that, unlike the double elimination of the softball tournament, where, regardless of what side of the bracket you're on, you would have to eventually run into Bethune-Cookman, right? But with the baseball tournament, you technically don't have to run into Bethune-Cookman until the championship game. So while I'm not a fan of the fact that that series that Southern didn't play kind of affects the standings, it doesn't matter because FAMU is 3. And if they handle business, they should end up with 3. But if something were to happen in these last 2 games against Texas Southern, I would be a little beside myself, given the fact that you got some teams out there that haven't played and are sitting, even though you have the tiebreaker over them, are sitting in a higher position because of win percentage. Okay. But 2 and 3 are on another bracket along with 6 and 7. So I think that's how that will work. So, it'll be a good, fun bracket over there with Southern, FAMU, and then we'll kind of see who fights it out between Texas Southern and UAPB and Jackson State. Who everybody's fighting to win so they can be on the other bracket away from Bethune-Cookman. That's how I look at it. Everybody's fighting to be on the other side.
Yeah, wanting that 2nd and 3rd place position, which puts you in the other bracket.
Or 6th and 7th. Yeah, you don't want to be is 4 and 5. You don't want to be 4 and 5, in my opinion, because that means you just go stuck.
8 for sure.
Well, yeah, 8 is 8, but.
Well, I'm talking about if you Arkansas and Pine Bluff, that 8 can.
Well, right, exactly. Those 2. That's what I said. Those 2 teams are fighting to get to be number 7 because that means you avoid being 8. Right. Exactly.
Right.
Good point.
To your point, being that poll. Put back the top 5. I want to compare it quickly to Black College 9. Brian votes in this. I vote in this. Charles, you're voting in this as well.
Yes.
So this gives you a little indication of how people see it. I don't see too much argument with the top 5. At number 5, they have Texas Southern. At number 4, they have FAMU. Number 3, they have Alabama State. At number 2, they have Southern. And at number 1, they have Bethune-Cookman. A little difference there in terms of FAMU. We have is 3, they have is 4. Alabama State reversed. And then they have Texas Southern above Grambling in terms of that matchup. Well, I have my beef. I like where Norfolk State, number 9, but they have North Carolina A&E at 10. I know it gets a little hard when you hit the bottom, but they literally are at the bottom of the CA. I think 1 or 2 like conference wins. I don't see how they're better than a Prairie View or Mississippi Valley just because they're in the Coastal Athletic, as I like previous name, Colonial Athletic. If they had a couple more wins, I could see you doing that. But you're at the bottom of that conference and somehow you top 10. I don't get that. So I'm going to talk to some of y'all voters. Y'all need to take a little more time and look at this stuff in terms of A&T. I don't see how they're in the top 10. That being said, let's go on the other side. We get ready for our interview and look forward to having some conversations as we get going. We'll be right back after this quick break. And
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
And we have to fund our kids in these colleges, and we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
And what about HBCUs? You mentioned.
Absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you got to make sure they're properly funded. You know, the real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs. And Comcast did not accept it. And that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay? That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that talk.
All right. I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay.
There's a shot.
That might be. It could be.
Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop, Bryan Fulford. The two professors are joining me as we bring in AD and Coach Andre Payne. Before we get into his story and updates, my eyes are getting a little wide here, Charles, because it's the bottom of the second and it is already 8-0. But those Grambling
jumped on that pitcher.
So that might be a one rule game there, but not so fast. Alabama A&M has scored 2 in the top of the third as they lead 2-1. So they at least want to have some energy early in that matchup against.
Show me some fight, A&M.
Showing some fight there, so we give you a little love. Andre Payne will appreciate that as alum of the Bulldogs, Alabama A&M, playing basketball back in the day for Hall of Fame coach Pettaway. In terms of that, gave him a little hard time last week as Prairie View went up to the Chicago and played in the Classic, which is fascinating to me. While Prairie View took 2 out of 3 in the series, you know, all the lights were Saturday when they played at Wrigley. And guess who won the trophy in terms of the Classic game, which is the Bulldogs getting. So for those that didn't pay attention to it, everybody's excited. And they get all the clips on social media. So that just tells you the value of showing up when the lights are on. Speaking of the lights are on, let me give a couple of accolades, and then I want to get into one of the bigger stories that is different that I want to hear and really wanted to bring you in here to talk about, other than the fact that you happen to be a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated that I got to bring into the frat. Yes, so everybody recognizes that. 25-26 GPA was 3.11. Women's soccer had 25 conference wins in the championship. Cross country women 25. Well, that should be 2025 conference championship.
Right.
Women's soccer was 2025 conference championship.
Right.
Baseball, we talked about, and we just recently talked about that made the tournament 2026 conference championship. 2026 conference cheer champs that y'all may not realize was there for Talladega. Women's basketball played in the national tournament. That's the NAIA tournament nationally. Men's basketball finished second in the Eastern Division. Women's track and field finished second in the conference. The men's track and field finished second in the conference, and that's the HBCU AC, which just announced that they have addition membership as they bring in Jarvis Christian, and where you kind of cut your teeth. You understand that as you brought me up to do a tournament. When I first got in the game, when you were there, Texas College, doing some business in that way. So that's fascinating, full circle, that now you're in the conference with that, with Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes. Next time you see her, tell her I shout her out and gave her a text announcement, and she is doing some work as much as you are, but credit goes to you in terms of what your conference and what you're doing in that conference in terms of that matchup. I do want to say one of the big things that's interesting to me is that Talladega is partnering with a prep school to bring football to the campus. People may not have realized a couple of years ago, previous president did the football facility. There was some talk then that they were looking at football, didn't quite bring in the football team, and even was looking at maybe a potential move to Division II. Regardless, beautiful stadium. But I want to hear a little bit more about this because the players will attend Talladega. So here's what is done in athletics this year. So obviously, shout out your accolades, but tell me a little bit more about this prep team going to Talladega, and the players are going to be in school. Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. We are partnering with Prep U College. They are prep school. They're out of the Birmingham area. They and I want to just say it clearly. This is not Talladega College football team. This is Prep U football team. They will be playing on our facility. We'll be utilizing our facility from weight rooms to everything. But their students will be enrolled at Talladega College. So it's an opportunity for us to partner with them who are doing some great things, but at the same time to give us a look at what we possibly want to do in the future without taking on so much of the cost right now. You know, we don't have to worry about buying pads and footballs and all the other accessories that come along. We don't have to worry about the athletic insurance because they are responsible for their own insurance. It is truly a partnership that gives us preferably a segue into what we want to do. Give us a trial to see how we should do and which way we should go.
Yeah, as the dean of the college education here at Texas Southern University, it's fascinating to me because you're seeing a lot of colleges that are really working with high schools about dual credit enrollment. So I imagine this is part of that dual and credit format where they'll get credit towards their high school graduation, but also towards college if they decide to go to Talladega, or they can transfer.
Well, they're actually going to be full-time enrolled students. They're going to live on our campus.
Oh, wow. That is unique and different. Okay.
Yeah, it's something I don't know if anybody ever.
I'm going to say I haven't heard this before, right. So it's fascinating. You're breaking news with this new opportunity, and it'd be fascinating to see if some other schools within the HBCU AC conference sees this as a model in terms of prep institutions that allows those. Let me let Charles in here and follow up because I see he has a quizzical face and he's ready to ask some questions in terms of what this is all about.
Well, Coach, I did want to ask this question in terms of beyond the cost. What are some things that you hope to glean from the prep school plan at Talladega? I mean, maybe looking at fan support or whatever the case might be. But what are some other things beyond the cost that you're looking to glean from this partnership?
Well, to see how to manage a football program. As I explained to the president, when you bring a football athlete on campus, that's a different type of athlete. Things changes from the cafeteria. You can't feed a 6'5", 300-pound lineman, at 6 o'clock. Then no more meals are not available after that. From the weight room, what do we need to do to upgrade the weight room so that we have a facility that can prepare those student athletes to hit the field? Class schedule, scheduling, because it brings a different dynamics. I mean, you could increase the enrollment probably 100 kids. So now you need to know how many professors you need to add on to different programs or whatever. Practice facility, because we do have a beautiful turf field. I mean, it's beautiful, but of course you don't want to be on that turf field. You got to create a grass field for them to practice on, so you don't tear it up completely with all the wear and tear every day. So that's a different thing. Travel, get to see, when most of your programs, our biggest program is probably baseball, but other than that, mostly everybody can fit on one charter bus wherever they're going. So it's really like a test run to see what to do and what not to do, and then to see how the fans are going to react. Are they going to get support? And I think what is unique about us, because they are staying on our campus. There are small things that people don't think about. Campus security. That you bringing on bigger, aggressive guys. There's a lot of things that people don't think about, the small thing, just even housing. Who's gonna be over that particular housing that the football players stay in? How do you manage that? So there's a lot of things.
Bryan?
Coach Payne, welcome onto the show. You mentioned that it sounds like this is all a warming up, getting everybody comfortable with the concept of football. And so, yes. I mean, with all that said, I know there was the talk about the feasibility study. Are there still various groups around campus, whether they be alums, board members, administrators, that are still talking about it? I mean, it sounds like maybe this is a different route. There are people still talking about it and say, hey, we're not ready for that yet, but let's see how we do with this.
Yes, there are. You have some people that are super excited about what we're doing. The rumor got out quickly. Oh, Talladega got a football team. Then there were some those saying, oh, how y'all gonna have a football team? And just a couple years ago they were talking about the financial struggle, and there's a lot. There's more excitement than it is negativity. To be honest with you, we're in Alabama in the South. Let me tell you one advantage that you have if we decided to move forward. There's not community colleges don't play football in the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
So you don't have to battle with the community college. They either got to go Division I or Division II, and football is a betting ground for athletes in Alabama. So you're talking about an opportunity that you can recruit those student athletes that maybe 1 or 2 inches short, 15 pounds lighter than what the Division I or the Division II schools want. So it is a great opportunity to see. And then I tell people all the time, that hey, Talladega was the original school of the SIAC. When it first started, and it had football up until I think World War II is when they stopped football and never brought it back.
Good stuff. I don't know if I want to share this with everybody because it allows the age to come up there, Charles. But were you there at Texas College when they restarted football?
I was the AD. I was 26 years old, and I was the AD.
You see how smooth I was with it?
I was the AD. I was at that time I was interim AD, physical plant director, and head men's basketball coach.
Yeah, I do remember that you had a lot of jobs.
It was tough. We were that enrollment was down about 300 students, and Dr. Hawkins called me in the office, and we were on our last leg. We had lost all our Title III, Title Fund funding, and SAC was coming to have their last visit with us in September. He called me in the office in like June and said, "Payne?" I said, "Yes, sir. We got to get this enrollment up." I said, "Oh, yes, sir, we do. We're working on it. I need you to start football." I said, "What?"
Hey, it worked out because they've had football at time, not necessarily the best success, but it's done what it needed to bring the excitement to the school. They did have a big winning season 2 years ago, which was credit. But I saw President Hawkins, as I told you, when I was in New Orleans, and instantly he remembered me to his credit, and, was congratulating me on the success I had. But he was part of that, and he certainly wanted to make sure that I reached out to you. His affinity in terms of what you did for him. And I imagine you would say also what he did for you in terms of giving you that opportunity, because you came out of the oil and gas engineering side, and people don't necessarily realize that because you've been in it so long. So that's fascinating. But I bring that up because it does give you an opportunity based on some of the questions Bryan asked, which are important. You're able to share that side, good, bad, in terms of your experience of literally starting off. And you add on all the other opportunities that you've had in terms of bringing that to the table after, I'm not going to tell you age, not that it matters to men out there, but I was going to say 10, but really 15 some years plus in the game. But I will add this part. It's getting interesting now because you have Langston that has stayed the course, been in the game in a while. And since they had been a member of the SWAC, dropping out of the SWAC and going down and still playing football. People may not realize, but Langston and Pine Bluff, as well as Central State, and this is kind of a sore spot for Charles. He remembers Central State probably for the wrong reason. But there was a decade there, about 5 years, and those three programs were like top 15, top 10, top 5, and were one game away from meeting up in the NIA football championship. So Texas College has brought it back. Obviously, Pine Bluff has gone to the SWAC. But you have now Arkansas Baptist, who you brought down to play in the Classic that I helped. And now they're playing football. Now, obviously, you have Florida International over that. So you're getting to a point where it may be a little challenging in terms of travel, but it would be fascinating where you could literally have a HBCU conference of football at the NAIA level in terms of Texas College, Arkansas Baptist, Langston, that all play in the Sooner Athletic Conference and then Florida International.
Yes.
So it's good to see the growth, obviously in baseball, which we talk a lot about, which is really good. But now there might be even an opportunity for football. If Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes can somehow pull that off, boy, I tell you, about, she already a Hall of Famer, but that's a different level. And
she's amazing. She's amazing,
I
man.
say that in a lot of ways because it's unique. You know, not only they're not playing the NCAA, which takes a little bit of a shine, but to the credit that with the name change, you're now getting more focus on the HBCU AC, which was purposeful and needed for those programs.
Yes.
But not starting off with a sport like football in the fall and not being able to carry in until you play volleyball, which has its own unique challenges of branding, and really getting to the gust of what you do, basketball, which is midwinter. Being able to have football some way would be unique. So cheers to you all. Kudos to what you're doing as the AD. Please keep us updated in terms of this framework because it's going to be fascinating to see how you put this together and just giving us some updates in terms of how things are going.
Yes, indeed. We'll definitely keep y'all posted, man. We're excited here, and we're going to see how this goes. And I think it'll be great. But like I said, we get a chance to ease into it. We ain't jumping off in that deep end.
We have listened to the old man over the years about
3-foot pole.
I told you how to do this. Break it down. I'm glad you're seeing, so you can send a check when you get a chance. But in all seriousness, congratulations in terms of what you're doing and bringing to the table, particularly for the wonderful year 2025-26 overall of what Talladega has done. It's been fascinating. So keep up the great work. We'll take our last break, sneak one in, and just give you some updates on the other side, and then we'll call it a show. Thank you, AD Coach Andre Payne.
All right, you gentlemen take care.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a state, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
So I wanted to close the show with us, so I'm going to give you these updates that we've been given throughout the show. I'll go back to the beginning with Prairie View getting a victory over Mississippi Valley 11-1. That was an 8-10-run game. Jackson State at home lost to Arkansas Pine Bluff 8-6. You have FAMU defeating Texas Southern. That was a 4-2 ball game. And then you have Bethune-Cookman in the top of the third, 8-0 in terms of that matchup. And then you have Southern was able to answer Bulldogs, Alabama A&M Bulldogs, 2 runs in the top of the third with 3 runs in the bottom of the third. So they leave that 4-2. And they have shut out Alabama A&M in the top of the fourth. So they are batting now. It'll be interesting to kind of keep your eyes on those contests there. So just wanted to give you some updates in terms of that. you have Alcorn State at Alabama State starting off at 7 o'clock. So it should be kicking off shortly in terms of what that looks like. So I want to give you a couple of updates in terms of our baseball, what's going on out there. With that, that'll do it. Next time you'll see us, we'll know the exact top 8 teams and where they seed for the baseball tournament. We'll be heading over to see if we can give you some shows from the ballpark on Thursday as I head out there. But we'll do a show obviously on Tuesday as well, just to get you ready for what the first pitch brings to you on Wednesday. Any final thoughts that you want to share, Charles?
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to the SWAC baseball tournament and what these teams bring to the fore next week in Birmingham. See if they can close things out this weekend on a positive note, and then let's see what the pitching does next week. I'm very curious, especially with I just noticed Texas Southern had Justin Mays go today. He's normally the Sunday starter, so I'm just curious as to how the matchups are starting to formulate now for next week.
Absolutely. Bryan, any final thought?
Doc, it's been a great week to be a Rattler. So I'm kind of counting down to the SWAC tournament, to SWAC baseball tournament. We're on a hot streak right now.
Yes, congratulations to you and your Rattlers, Lady Rattlers. Get it done. Back-to-back outdoor,
indoor, outdoor last year. I mean, we on a roll. We baddest track program, baddest women's track program. We got the fastest run, fastest relay. I mean, watch out for the Rattlers at the regionals. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
Then came football season. Yeah,
that's right. We coming for y'all. We coming.
Hey man, you talking about flag football?
We're gonna surprise some folks this year.
There you go. With that being said, I want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Today we had AD Drew joining us for the first half, Bryan Fulford, and then we had an interview with AD of Talladega, Coach Andre Payne, giving us an update on a unique framework that they're looking about bringing football to the institution. First, looking at supporting it from that perspective. So it's interesting to see what that will look like. And we'll keep you updated to see how that goes. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram, DrKenyattaCavil. That's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Sunday, you can check out Sports Rap with Bryan and AD. Obviously, on Saturday, check out Carlos as he closes out things. We'll get really a clearer picture by Saturday. You have one game left for a lot of teams, and by Sunday, it'll be written in stone. So we'll see what these gentlemen have to say as you close up the week. And with Bryan, you get them to close out the week or start it, whichever way you like to look at it. We're here for that. Again, dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Bryan?
Lecture.
Dismiss.